Happy Sunday, but oh wait, for the good of all Cree, buddy.
For the good of all Cree.
Happy Sunday. Wait, no, not Sunday. Monday. No, we're getting this wrong.
It's the day after Wednesday.
It's Thursday.
It is.
That's weird. It's weird that it's Thursday.
For now, it's weird.
For now.
But that might change over time.
It might change. And don't reset your screens. This isn't a replay. This is genuinely live on a Thursday. Dad, Walt.
Dan, Walt. Dan.
Great stuff. I've even got my name on my shirt, and I still got it wrong. What is up, everybody? Disney Dan here. Welcome back into the channel, and welcome to a Disney movie review on Thursday for the highly controversial, you can see it in the background right there, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Episode 8 of the Star Wars franchise. Walt and I sat down and pondered and thought about our way through this most controversial movie that's come out in the last 5 years. It is just buggering that you can talk. If you talk to any Star Wars fan, I guarantee that someone will bring up Star Wars The Last Jedi and how sort of crazily controversial it is. But anyway, we'll get into the controversy, we'll get into the story, we'll get into how we love it, hate it, whatever it is. But I need to see, firstly, who's in the chat. Let's see who's in the chat. Welcome in, everybody. We've got Gene. Welcome in, Gene. Great to see you for being here. Samantha Lowe. What's up? Candy Mom. I almost wrecked seeing Dan's name pop up. Yeah, it's right here. That's what happens. There you go. Hey, Rob. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Rob.
Partner channel. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks so much for being here. I know it's crazy Thursday night, but I need to say hello to my brother. What is up, Walt? Good to see you. Mouse Talk in the house.
I'm excited, man. We've been waiting for this one for a while. If you guys haven't already noticed, new night, and we'll get into that at the end after we do our review. But yeah, I feel like it's a whole new beginning. I'm really, really excited. I think our consistency on doing the shows is going to be much, much better. Yep. Moving forward, much, much better, so everybody can really rely on these. And I'm great. Things are going well, and I'm just excited to do this. These are always a blast. And
yeah, we really love doing these. And if you missed it, last time we did the show, we did our first non-Disney movie review of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
We did.
Really fun. Nice doing a movie that wasn't Disney or Marvel or Star Wars or whatever it is. Something a little bit different. So it was great. So if you haven't seen our non-Disney movie review of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, go check it out. This one in the Disney box. Yeah, anything under the Disney umbrella, dude. So it could be Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Muppets, anything. It could be a Disney Channel original movie. It could be anything.
Hey, Kelly.
Kelly, what is up? Good to see you. She's ninja watching at work. What? So you are a ninja watching? I don't know. So you're watching as a ninja? I don't know. Or maybe it's just she's just ready on the computer. Good to see everybody. And we are very much excited to look at Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, this is the second movie in this sequel trilogy, which was firstly directed by J.J. Abrams. Then this movie was directed by Rian Johnson, who took over J.J. Abrams' ideas, which may have been a good thing, may have been a bad thing.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, let me say this. Let me give everybody a little preface on a couple things. 2017 is when the movie came out. Domestically in the United States alone, it grossed over $620 million, over $700 million internationally for $1.332 billion in gross. Okay, it is in the top 10 all-time domestic at number 10. Okay.
Oh, Candy Mom, thank you so much. That's great. For the $1.99. I haven't done this in a long time. Super chat. I'm at a light for Kelly Cheerio.
Mm.
There you go. Thank you so much,
Thank
Candy
you,
Mum.
Cynthia. You're the best.
So kind. Thank you.
But this movie, domestically and financially, was a huge success for Disney and Star Wars, Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
But here's the rub. I'll give you an example of where Dan and I are going to be going with how polarizing this is. When you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score on this movie, the Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics is 91%.
Yep.
Which is good. Fresh.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
it's very good. The Rotten Tomatoes score for the audience is 42%.
Nearly half the amount.
That's really bad. Easily the lowest, and probably even below, I haven't looked it up, probably even below Solo, A Star Wars Story for Rotten Tomatoes. Yes, Rob, number 10 all-time gross domestically is The Last Jedi. And what's interesting enough is it's funny how much of a juggernaut Disney is. 7 of the top 10 movies all time domestically, Disney.
Yeah. I would say that Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, is in my top 10 favorite Star Wars movies.
Okay. Would have been 10, but that's okay. Actually, no, that's not true. There's been 11.
Oh, yeah. But still. Oh, what about the Christmas holidays, buddy? Do they count? Okay. But yeah, so this movie made a buckload of money, and rightly so. You know, everybody wanted to know what happened at the end of The Force Awakens. Whether you liked it, hated it, The Force Awakens, it left us with a huge cliffhanger. You know, we saw Luke standing on the island with Rey holding the lightsaber out in front, and Luke turns around and we get to see Mark Hamill. You know, the last time we saw him was back in the 80s. So it's fantastic to give us such a big cliffhanger for this movie. So this was really, really a sort of a money-making machine, even before anybody had even seen this movie. Because everyone wanted to know. Everyone wanted to see Luke in the movie. So I think that was a big sort of draw to this film. Now, before we get into the film, we need to know when we first watched it. For me, I watched it opening night, and then I went to see it 2 more times in the movie theater. So I watched it 3 times in the movie theater, and I think it was just I saw it with my best friend, I saw it with a group of guys, and then I saw it with my parents, because it had become sort of a tradition that every sort of Christmas time when these were released, I would watch a Star Wars film, whether it was Force Awakens, Rogue One, Solo, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. Just kept sort of keeping that tradition going. So that's what we were doing. So I went with my parents for my 3rd time watching the film, and that's when I first saw this film. I don't know about you all. What do you remember?
First night, midnight, that night, Mason and I went. I'll say this. This was one of the films. Well, we went opening night. We were there too. We went at midnight. We were there. And, I was excited for this, but I was apprehensive. I had saw the trailer. I was a little worried about what I thought I was going to see. I was okay with The Force Awakens. I wasn't a big fan of it because it really didn't have, we'll get into that one when we have that one.
Hey,
hey,
welcome
in. Welcome in. But, we saw it opening night, Mason and I. And until 2 days ago, I haven't seen it since.
Okay. I mean, I think we both can agree that this probably will be the most divisive movie, I think, amongst fans, and it always has been since it was being released. People are going to have different opinions on this, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's good that people will have different reviews. Speaking, and then Candy Mum, Cynthia says, I actually love the last 3 the most, which is really, really interesting. I think people will have such difference of opinions of Star Wars, and I think you can arguably say that Star Wars fans are never ever happy, not as a collective, right? You got those die-hard, hardcore original fans. You got those fans who hated the prequels and now somewhat enjoy them, and you got who hate the sequels, and then you got the love the sequels and hate the prequels. Like, everyone likes different things, and which is kind of a good thing. It's not like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where people pretty much enjoys the whole series, people were very divisive on Star Wars. Hey, Melissa, what's up? Good to see you. You know her, I think.
I do know her very well.
Do you want to comment on sort of the divisiveness of the community of Star Wars fans?
It's really hard. I've said this with Marvel, and I'll say it with Star Wars. When you knock it out of the park with the original, it's really hard to equal it or surpass it in any capacity. And especially if you're someone who was around when the originals came out in the cinemas, not watching them on DVDs and on TV. Originally, I was there first day, 1977, for Star Wars. So I remember it. I was 7 years old. And it's hard to beat the original.
Yeah.
And no matter what, because there is a certain expectation, especially for the original diehard original fans, there is an expectation. And if it's not met, you will hear about it. I agree with you. Very divisive.
Yeah. I think there's many films that never will live up to the originals. Jaws, Jurassic Park, all these films, the original. But then you've got films like maybe Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. So I feel so much better than the original. Or Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, way better than Fellowship of the Ring, in my opinion. I think there is movies out there where the original is maybe not as good as the sequels, but
the Godfather.
The Godfather
Part 2 is phenomenal. Oh my God. Right?
So, the original trilogy was so groundbreaking for movie history that to move into the sequels and then the prequels, you can't even really compare them. You've got to treat them as almost separate from each other, which is very hard to do. Cynthia says, for me, it's the last movies, the ones I grew up with, and the pre-ones last. Didn't care about pre-Darth Vader ones. Okay, interesting. We'll talk about the prequels another time, but I think we should really get into The Last Jedi.
Let's go.
So, directed by Rian Johnson, we have our typical Star Wars crew that we typically, get. It talks about the First Order rebuilding themselves after the loss of Starkiller Base, and we're trying to they're picking up the pieces. Obviously, the Resistance are on the run. They're being tracked down by the First Order, it almost feels very much like Empire to start off with. You have the Empire trying to chase down the rebels in Hoth, and there's kind of a similar situation here with this sort of the First Order chasing down the Resistance. So go ahead.
Strike one. Because you're right. And they already did that with The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens felt just like A New Hope. They're trying to destroy the Death Star before it destroys and they're going in at the last minute. And I agree, too much similarity. And I think that's part of the issue with The Last Jedi to start for me. That was strike one. I agree.
See, I agree to disagree. Because I feel like the prequels, they tried to do something different and make it less like Star Wars, and then they bring in, the sequels, and people think, oh, it's too much like the original Star Wars. And I think the familiarity for me is a good thing.
Okay.
But that's just that. I think that's one massive argument that I think people always talk about. But it's just another thing for another. It's at the end of the video.
Here's the thing I'll say on this: the prequels, the concept was smart. We were getting into the Jedis, we were getting into the Republic, we were getting into all the different Jedis, how they lost, how the fall of the Jedi Order, the rise of Darth Vader. It just wasn't executed well. They just weren't good movies.
Yeah.
The concept was good. I like the fact that it was going away from what we had originally known. They were giving us something different. They just didn't execute it well. They didn't write good screenplays. They used too much CGI. Some of the casting wasn't, like Natalie Portman with Hayden Christensen wasn't good chemistry. I think it was the execution more than the thought process of where they were going.
Right.
For what it's worth.
That's absolutely fair. But we open with a space battle scene where we've got the First Order with their giant sort of Star Destroyer ships. And then you've got the Resistance really going up against them. I really actually quite like the fact that we've got a head-to-head battle. All right? We've got a full-on space battle straight away. I'm a sucker for a good space battle. The space battle in the end of Return of the Jedi is one of my favorite sort of parts of Star Wars, and it reminded me a lot of that. And you have Poe on his own going up against the entire fleet, and it's really, really cool to see Oscar Isaac, who I think is a phenomenal actor. If you haven't been watching Moon Knight, you got to watch it. His performance this week, breathtaking.
Let me tell you what, he's going to win an Emmy for that.
Oh, absolutely. But we're not talking about Moon Knight.
Yes. I'm sorry, but you're right.
Sean Christensen, welcome in. Great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So, Oscar Isaac, Poe Dameron in front of the fleet. I love the fact that he was talking to General Hux as if he was trying to not hear him on like a telephone call. I think that's quite cleverly sort of using quite good humor there. You got BB-8 in the back, and they do this sort of really cool sort of opening scene. They bring in the Resistance, and we get introduced to a character who is Rose's sister, who will meet Rose soon, but we'll meet her sister. I can't remember Rose's sister's name. And she's a pilot for a bomber aircraft, for a bomber spacecraft. And what her job was to get the bomber craft over the Star Destroyers and let loose all the bombs for it to blow up. And obviously, it's a very risky mission. Poe really wants to succeed in the mission without sort of thinking about the casualties and what it could do to the rest of the fleet.
Yeah, consequence. He really doesn't think about the consequences behind. It's a dreadnought, and a dreadnought is like a giant killing machine, literally killing machine that the First Order has. It's like one of their huge. It's like a very mobile Death Star almost that can move.
It reminds you of the Super Star Destroyer in Return.
Exactly right, same type thing, but even more power to it. That's what a dreadnought is. So he's very intent on taking out this dreadnought, no matter what.
Really getting rid of it.
Right. Hey, John.
Hey, John. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, dude.
Good to see you.
So they send in the ships. The big battle commences. And one by one, the bomber ships, the resistant bomber ships, are going down. They are going down. Too many casualties. It's telling Poe, listen, you got to get out of it. You got to go. We've got to retreat. And he's going against the orders. He's going against the orders of the captain. Against General Leia, who's really sort of at the helm of the Resistance. And they managed to succeed destroying the dreadnought with Rose's sister dropping the bombs with a little sort of luck, catching the remote as she ends up dying, along as almost like a noble heroic sacrifice. And they get rid of the dreadnought, and the battle ends. And then we get to hear the consequences of Poe's actions. Once they've escaped.
Right. Well, here's the thing about that. I like I hate to say it, but I actually think, they try to play it off when she sacrifices herself and catches it and blows up, and you see her face as she dies. I have absolutely no feeling. I don't know this person. I don't know this character. I've seen so many rebels die in battle in the past that there's no feeling behind it, but they wanted feeling behind that. You could tell the way they built it up, they wanted feeling behind this character as you see her face close up as the fire's coming up and you want to feel something. If that had been Wedge, If that had been
No.
Admiral Akbar or something like that, I know not Wedge. They're not going to kill off Wedge.
I know what they should have done.
Jar Jar Binks.
No.
Who?
Old Man Porkins.
Oh, somebody that we knew.
From the original Star Wars, Porkins, the
Yeah.
slightly, he should have been doing
it. Somebody that we know from, as a character who is now no longer going to be part of the story, that is going to sacrifice themselves to save at least this battle for the time being. Instead, they gave us a nobody that I know nothing about, that I don't care if they die, because I've seen a billion other ones that have died in the past, and yet they wanted to make it emotional, and it just fails miserably. I'm sorry. We're starting now.
But we do find out why she was important a little bit later on.
Not really. Because her sister's not important either.
I guess she's not that important, because I can't even remember the name of the person's character.
Rose. Oh, you mean Rose's sister?
No, Rose's sister.
I have no clue. Did she have a name?
Probably.
I don't know.
I'm
sorry. I digress. Moving on.
So we have the First Order in some form of retreat, and we catch up with Kylo. And I'm gonna straight up say, I really, throughout the whole of the franchise, he is my favorite character. Kylo Ren, for me, is my favorite character in the franchise. Disney MUK, what is up? So good to see you. And Super Fluffy Yeti, what's going on? Wait, what? You're already live? So great to see you in real time. Woohoo! Yay! Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. What's up, Jack? Good to see you, my brother.
Hey, welcome in.
You. Hope you're doing good. So, yeah, he's definitely personally my favorite character from these last couple of movies. I think Adam Driver does a really great performance, and really enjoys sort of playing the part. And he catches up with Snoke. Now, Snoke, we actually see in person. We don't see him in hologram form like we did in Force Awakens. He gives off that Palpatine vibe in this big throne room. He's often sort of putting Kylo down. He's putting him down. He's like saying, all these, you're not good enough. You're never going to be good enough. And he's failing, and he's trying to persuade Rey to turn to the dark side. And Snoke's being harsh on him. Snoke's really being harsh on him. And then he ends up getting in an elevator, and he breaks his mask. Like, this was a big change. Like, we come to sort of know him as sort of this new sort of Vader sort of character, and he just straight up smashes the helmet into the elevator. And I think this is certainly a Rian Johnson trope, because I don't think JJ would have got rid of the helmet, because he rebuilt it in the next movie. So that's quite a big.
It is. It's just what this part is this is building for what's coming later in the film. The relationship between Snoke and Kylo Ren is building to a crescendo that we'll get to later. And that's all this, to me, that's what this is. This is kind of character building or relationship building to get ready for what at the time you don't know what's coming, for what's coming.
Yeah. Speaking of Rian Johnson tropes, let's jump over to Luke, where the film from The Force Awakens picks up. So we're back on the island. We meet some of my favorite new characters in the whole of Star Wars, and that's porgs. These cute little porg chickens. I think they're super cute. And we pick up that scene from when Rey was holding the lightsaber out at Luke. And Luke extends his biomechanical hand, looks at his saber. Now, he hasn't seen this saber since The Empire Strikes Back, where he got his hand chopped off at Cloud City and he lost that lightsaber. How they managed to find it, we have no idea. Even in the previous movie, what's her name? Mars said a story for another time, but we have no idea what that story was. When he sees that lightsaber, holds it in his hand, he decides to throw it over his shoulder. And before you even comment, we've got Hannah here. Hannah Waggle, good to see you. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Hannah, one of the ladies. Woo,
good to see you there. Hope you're doing well.
Never seen Star Wars.
Hannah, go out and come back in and redo that comment, please.
So, yes, this was a shocking moment. Well, not Hannah joining the stream. I think we all knew that was going to happen. But no, Luke throwing his original lightsaber, the one he got given by Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was his father's lightsaber. He throws it over his shoulder off the cliff. I'll let you go first.
I'm going to be serious for a moment. I really am. I'm going to be serious. The inherent issue that I have with this entire film does base around Luke Skywalker. Okay? You have to... I don't know if Rian Johnson looked into any of the original at all. I don't. I really don't. I don't understand. I mean, Mark Hamill himself was very upset with where they went with this character. Very upset. The man that played the part. Read it. He's got it. He has come out publicly and said it. And I wholeheartedly agree. With every fiber of me, I don't understand why he thought how he went with this was going to work. It's the reason this film is so divisive. That's it. It's that simple. It's Luke. It's what they did with that character. I didn't like the fact of the whole thing, but throwing it over his shoulder was to me just drama. I would have been better if he had just handed it back to her and said, no, I can't take this. That would have been a little bit better, but to just throw it, something like you said, that he hasn't seen in 30 years, he's just going to throw it over his shoulder? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's the inherent total disregard of a character that has been built from the original character of being so... I don't even want to get into it. Go ahead, Dan. I'll let you start next.
That's super funny. Yes, thank you, Odd. I thought I was the only one who felt that way about Skywalker. Of the series. Okay. So, I completely get it. I completely get the whole why people are so upset with how they treat Luke. Look, you watched Luke Skywalker in the movie theater back in 1977. Like, this was your superhero. This was your Iron Man. This was your Batman. Like, you know, he is such an iconic hero.
Mm-hmm. For
me, firstly, for one thing, I think this is Mark Hamill's best performance he's done. By far. That's personal. This is nothing to do with the character. I think it's the best performance he's done. I don't hate what they did with Luke as much as most. I don't necessarily like what they did with Luke, but I don't think I hate it. If you look at all the characters that were in the original trilogy that are in the sequel trilogy, there has been dramatic change in their character. Huge amount of change. Timothy Rainwaters, what's up, brother?
Hey, Timothy.
You know, Han has become a father. He's become a believer of the Force. He's still doing those scoundrel things. He's still gone back to that character that he was in episode 4, but he's also very caring and wants to be back with Leia. Leia has become a super strong, which she always has been, strong woman.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't really think those characters did change. They got older and they developed a little bit, but Han was still Han and Leia was still Leia in every way. See, Han was always a caring, loving guy who was a scoundrel and did things that we sometimes would question, but he was basically there. And in the end, remember at the end of Return of the Jedi, he looks at Luke, or at the end of The New Hope, he looks at him and says, "May the Force be with you." I think he was always a believer. Luke's change was easily the worst. I mean, the biggest.
I think it was the biggest risk. And I think if it was Luke as he was at the end of Return of the Jedi, I think it wouldn't have been as entertaining. Because
Really?
he would have been another Yoda figure, but not as funny. And that's
But every that's just it though. Every Jedi has a Padawan. They are teachers. That's the point. They're all teachers. Qui-Gon was a teacher. Obi-Wan was a teacher. Luke's a teacher.
I totally agree. I totally agree that he's a teacher.
I guess here's my issue, Dan. Luke Skywalker's not a quitter. They made him a quitter.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
They made him a quitter. They made him a quitter. He quit. And we'll get into that, which is even worse.
Now, if you and this is going to be a spoiler for those who haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett, but I think it's a really actually good example. In the Book of Boba Fett, spoiler alert, Luke Skywalker shows up, and he's in a majority of an episode. And this is, end of Return of the Jedi Luke. He's training Grogu. He's really sort of that depiction of what I think you wanted to see in The Last Jedi. Okay, he's a trainer, he's a mentor, he's a Jedi master, he's helping. It was great to see him interact with Grogu, and I think it worked well with him and Grogu because Grogu doesn't speak. He's very adorable, and has that really good connection with Ahsoka. But for me, if it was Luke and Rey, as Luke as it was in the Book of Boba Fett, I'm not sure it would have worked if we had that risky, dramatic change. Did they execute it well with Luke having that character change? Maybe not, but I think it was necessary for him to have a change in his character because otherwise it would have been, for me, not as entertaining because I've seen Luke be that good guy. I've seen that, brave and teacher-like character, in Star Wars before. I think it was important for him to have a change. Maybe they just didn't do it right.
And see, and that's where our philosophies are different.
Yeah.
Because for me, I want a bad guy to be a bad guy, and I want a good guy to be a good guy. I don't want him to change. How he gets to helping them can change and things like that. But I did want a good Luke. Because technically, this last 3 movies, even though it's the Skywalker saga, it's not his movie. He is a supporting character here. That's why I don't feel they needed to do the change they did for him. It's not his story. It's her story. Why did he have to be the big change? That's what I didn't get. I mean, it's...
Would you arguably say that the Skywalker saga is not just Luke?
Yeah, it's him and his father. It's him and his father.
But it. But the Skywalker saga doesn't just reach to Anakin and Luke, because there's another Skywalker, which is Ben. Leia, and then Leia being Ben.
Right.
And I think the whole this saga personally involves 2 people, and that is Rey being a Palpatine and Ben being a Skywalker. So that whole Skywalker saga, I think, refers more to Ben than it does to Luke.
Right. I get it. I get it. Yeah. No, I get it. They wanted to branch out, and I have no problem with them branching out. I don't. I understand it. These are the Disney movies. They wanted to solidify their side of it. They wanted to put it in, put their own stamp on it. Fair enough. I get it. For me, it's just not, it didn't work for me. Okay. That's like in the comics. I'll give you an example. In the comics, when Captain America, Steve Rogers, was part of Hydra as a double agent, I could have burnt every single one of those books. I felt like tearing up the pages. That was the dumbest thing I ever saw in my entire life. Really, Steve Rogers is really a double agent. He's with Hydra. Come on, now you're grabbing for straws. Let's not be ridiculous. We don't need it. That's all I'm saying. We don't need it. Not everybody has to have a character change. Some guys are just good, and some guys are just bad.
Yeah, maybe you are right. I don't know. I think obviously we will certainly have a difference of opinion. But for me, the problems in this film, for me personally, is not Luke. It's something else, which we will get to. We do have to move on because we can.
I'm sorry.
We're only 10 minutes into the movie, and we're over half an hour in.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I'll stop.
No, but I think that's what's important about this movie, because it is so controversial. You can talk about this movie for hours.
Yes, you can.
It's so true. So Luke starts, after much convincing. By the way, guys, we are going to try. We're not going to skip everything, but we're going to try and
footnotes. Yeah.
So after much convincing, Rey starts to be trained by Luke, and which I think is great. I think Luke is definitely taking up that mantle of that sort of Jedi master figure, even though he really didn't want to be. Having green milk out of that creature's thing was quite entertaining to watch. I'm not going to lie. And also when the Porg was playing with the lightsaber that was thrown off the cliff, I was just expecting for one standing at the hilt and one standing on the button. I think it would have been. I'm not sure they would have done that, but I'm sure somebody on YouTube has made that video.
That would have worked for me.
That's probably how you feel about this film. So in the meantime, they're starting to do some training, and we get introduced to a new concept of the Force, and that is the Bluetooth phone a friend connection between Rey and Kylo, where they can sort of hear and see and feel sort of things around them through the Force. Now, when I first watched this, I was confused, because let's be fair, right? The Force, when we knew about the Force, Yoda was like, "Oh, the Force." Obi-Wan says the Force surrounds us, penetrates us, binds the galaxy together. We've got Yoda like telling Luke to lift some rocks. We've got sort of grabbing lightsabers out of snow, all that kind of stuff. But not ever have we explored the Force transporting your sort of spiritual self to another planet where the other person can see you. I'm not sure whose decision this was. I'm not sure I like it nor dislike it. I'm just a bit befuddled with it.
Well, but it's a big part of the movie. It's actually a big
the franchise.
Yeah, well, moving forward, but I mean, for this film, that Force connection, whatever you want to call that, is it's an important and very big part of this entire film, because it comes up very often. But again, you're introducing something that has never been introduced before, and you're making it a very big focal point of a movie. And I'm with you. I'm like, wait a minute, how the heck is he seeing her? He's not even. Oh, is this a new Force thing? I didn't even know this existed. I'm with you. I don't know.
So then, they continue their training. Rey and Kylo are having sort of, dates, virtual sort of Bluetooth dates, while Luke is.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of looking at it, kind of.
They so are. In the meantime, you've got
FaceTime. It's FaceTime. Oh my God, that's what it is. It's FaceTime. Isn't it though? It really is. Oh my gosh. Even in a galaxy far, far away, they have FaceTime. No wonder Mark Zuckerberg is so rich. He's everywhere. I'm sorry. Keep going. Unbelievable. God, I hate that guy.
That was so perfect. You couldn't have timed that any better. Oh God, FaceTime. Every time I watch the film now, I'm gonna be like, they're using, the they use FaceTime.
Oh my gosh! Oh, exactly.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's so funny.
All right, I'm sorry.
Oh right. So, in the meantime, we're back on the Resistance ship. Poe is getting a grilling from Leia about
slapped in the face
and whatever. And then we catch up with Finn, the stormtrooper who was meant to have a really big arc in this franchise, who sadly doesn't. Played by John Boyega. He wakes up after being chopped in half by Kylo in the previous film, and he kind of wants to escape this resistance order, which he hasn't done before. Oh, wait, yes, he has. And he gets into an escape pod, and he walks past a person. Hey, I'm gonna, do some maintenance or something else. No, he just wants to escape. And this person who's standing there is Rose, who is a maintenance person on the resistance side, and she's just hanging there doing some maintenance, just preventing anybody.
She's crying, but she's crying too because she lost her sister.
She lost her sister, who we can't remember the name of.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I guess we're supposed to feel bad for her too. A new character, we have no idea who she is, and we're supposed to feel bad about her sister, who we didn't know either. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, coming out of hyperspace comes Kylo, who is very angry for what Snoke did, and a few other sorts of ships and everything. But by the way, his TIE fighter is so cool. Like, it's really cool.
It is neat.
He decides to sort of make an attack on the resistance ship. He's about to press the button. No, and he can sense that his mother Leia is on board. But he actually pulls back. He doesn't actually shoot. Where actually his
two security guards, or whatever you want to call them,
his two co-pilots,
his two wingmen,
yeah.
Well, let me preface that by saying something, because this is really the entire arc of this movie is the First Order chasing the rebellion. That's really the entire arc of the movie. See, what's happening is the rebellion's trying to get away, and they're jumping to light speed, but somehow the First Order can track them through light speed, so they just
follow them. Yeah.
Follows them. So, and that's the entire film, mind you. It really is. That's what the premise of the entire film is. And so every time they jump to light speed, they're using all this fuel, and they can't get away because they don't realize that they're being tracked until they finally do realize they're being tracked. So that's where Dan's going with this, is they're coming out of light speed because they've been tracking them all this time. And then that's when, Kylo comes out in his ship, and like Dan said, he hesitates, but his wingmen don't.
It's a track. Sorry, I had to. So his wingmen take out the ship, and Leia, who's on the bridge gets blown up, and she's sucked out into space. And by the way, firstly, before we even move forward, this movie was released after Carrie Fisher had sadly passed. So I think it was quite difficult for a lot of us fans who were a big fan.
I thought that was Rise of Skywalker that was released. I thought she was still alive for Jedi.
I'm not so sure she was.
Okay. I thought she was.
Okay. We'll double check, but I can't remember anyway. And she ends up in space, and let's be honest here. Space, no matter if it's space around Earth or space in the galaxy, space is space. There's no air in space. How she turns into Superman, I have no idea. Because she ends up, just doing the Superman pose and ending up back on the ship. Somewhat surviving.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't get it. Okay, I think they're trying to tell us here it's somewhat force-sensitive force thing. Again, thing we don't know. What up, Chris? Howdy, family. Adventures. Great to see you, buddy. Welcome in.
I just think that I would have been better if she was. You're right. When you're in space, you don't have air, and even Jedi have to breathe. She can't hold her breath for that long. I did that. I didn't get that part, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not so sure. Maybe she is sort of powerful enough to withstand space, but again, it leaves you kind of confused of whatever. So they're being tracked by the First Order through hyperspace, and they come out of hyperspace. They put the shields up, and they're using all their energy on the shield.
Fuel, all their fuel. Yep.
All their fuel on the shield so they can sort of last as long as they can until they find some form of base.
Well, they need to turn off the tracking device is what they ultimately find out. Finn and Rose deduce that, hey, they're tracking us, but there is a way to turn it off. Because remember, Finn used to work on the ships in maintenance, so he knows where to go. Hey,
Horizon, what's up? Good to see you. So what happens is Finn decides to find this jailbreaker guy.
Supposed to be a decoder or something like that.
Decoder who can help him get onto the ship and decode this tracking beacon so they can escape. So obviously, Rose goes with to a planet which is called Cantobite.
Cantobite.
And
sounds like
let's
that.
Hold on. Let's just be honest here. This whole thing from Cantobite till they end up back on the Resistance ship,
unnecessary.
It's completely irrelevant.
Totally irrelevant.
It's just a piece about to not be cruel to animals and all about animal cruelty rights and all that kind of stuff. And it couldn't have been any more on the nose. Look, I'm not against these animal rights and all that kind of stuff. Look, I think animals should have the same sort of rights and live freely and everything. But you don't need to have it on the nose in a Star Wars film. If you wanted to do it on a film about nature and animals, and
have a documentary.
That's absolutely fine. But this is if you're taking 20 minutes out of your movie to say, hey, listen, animal cruelty is bad, and it's so on the nose, it makes it feel so out of place. And you got this Cantobite world, which is basically Vegas. It's not even anything new. It's not even a new planet. They might as well just filmed it in Vegas and put some masks on people's heads. That's pretty much what this is. And they find Benicio del Toro's character, who used to sell armed, used to sell ships to the First Order and the Resistance. Instantly you don't trust him. Of course, he's gonna he couldn't have been any more obvious. He was gonna stab him in the back eventually. It's Star Wars. He's going to do that. That's what everyone does. So this whole thing, this whole shebang, that Finn and Rose dude spending some quality time together, trying to fix, it's rubbish. It is, and that's. I said before early in the stream that the Luke stuff didn't bother me as much as this stuff. This stuff really got under my skin. Chris says, if she was able to put herself in a Jedi trance, she could live for a short period in the vacuum of space.
Whatever you say, Chris.
It's the cotton candy of the movie, some unrelated fun. But is it fun, though?
No, not really.
No. The ostrich race from Prince of Persia was more interesting than the race on Cantobite. Am I wrong?
Not at all. God. Oh my God. Oh yeah, this part this movie was a long movie. This was a 2 hour and 45-minute movie that could have easily been 220 and they would have been okay. They could have easily just said, hey, we need to turn this off on the ship, and it could have just been Finn and Rose getting on the ship and them turning it off themselves. They didn't need all that extra stuff. I agree. It was just a way to elongate the movie, put in a political piece that they wanted to promote, which is, it is what it is, and move forward. I that's how I see it. And again, I think that part of the movie could have easily been removed, and it has no bearing on the film.
So they get captured. Well, they get betrayed by Benicio del Toro once they ended up on the ship.
Chris, Adding Adventures. He says Star Wars is meant to be watched with a child's mind. I bet that's not true. I bet they don't want child's money. I bet they want adult money.
Yeah. adult tickets for sure. That's why they made over 1 point something billion.
And I'm sure when they had Kylo Ren's shirt off when in one of the FaceTimes, it wasn't for the kids. I'm just saying.
And the gambling scene, definitely not.
Yeah, that's probably not for the kids either.
And
we're just kidding with you, Chris. I hope you know that.
No. Yeah, of course. So they get captured by the First Order after being betrayed by Benicio del Toro's character on Snoke's ship. Now, let's just rewind a bit. Let's go back to Rey. Now, we find out that Luke, the biggest reason why he is who he is because he was training a new group of Jedi, and we had someone betray him, and he saw some dark side sense in him, and Luke had that sort of intention to kill this person. And this is Luke Skywalker. He's not going to actually kill the person. He actually sort of resists back during the flashback. But this person, who happens to be Kylo Ren, a.k.a. Ben Solo, just sees it as, right, Luke's going to kill me. Something's gone wrong. I'm going to just escape and cause damage and, go find someone else, a.k.a. Snoke. And this causes Luke to almost go into some sort of crisis or mental sort of block on him as a person. And he just wants to live on this island and not teach any more Jedi, and everything that he worked hard for is sort of destroyed because he maybe thought too much about once there's sort of that dark path in that person's mind, there's no way of saving them, which I think is
but that's so
contradictory to what he did in Return
exactly, which makes it such hypocrisy. That's the point of it. Is him of all people knows that just because you see the dark side doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way they're going to end up. Look at his father. It's exactly right. That's the hypocrisy behind the whole theming of this. You can't look at it like that. That's not who he is. He would never, ever sit there and even think about killing a kid laying in bed, sound asleep, defenseless. Period. He would never do that. It's the hypocrisy behind the character.
I think he knew that because you saw him sort of bring his lightsaber back.
But he wouldn't even. I get it. You're right, and you're right, and I understand that. But he wouldn't even contemplate it. He wouldn't even walk in that room. He would wait till he was awake and say, "I see the dark side in you. I'm not training you anymore. I can't do this," and leave it at that. He wouldn't.
But that would be a boring movie.
But that's okay. But then, if that's the case, then you do something else. And they didn't want to do that. Rian Johnson wanted to put his own stamp, which he did.
Yeah, he definitely did.
He did on the Star Wars franchise.
So he opens up to Rey. Rey sort of finds out. And sort of during that time, Luke barges in on Rey and Kylo having a FaceTime date because he can actually see Kylo and Rey, even though Kylo is being projected through the Force, in this hut, and they're sort of having a good time, not in any sort of way. They were just, having a nice chat. And Luke goes crazy. He's like, no, get away. Like, this is no good. And there's sort of a big fallout between Rey and Luke. And then, let's just be honest here, we get to the best part of the movie.
Hi, Pamela.
Hey, Pamela. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. We get to the best part of the movie. We get the return, finally, after, years, decades, we finally get proper puppet Yoda back. Which I'm not going to lie, when we saw that pad shot of the back of Yoda, when Luke was going into sort of the fire of the tree where the books were kept, I was like, no, they've not done this. Oh my goodness. And then when you see Luke blast back from the tree and he sort of lies there next to Yoda, oh, dude, like, it was honestly, it's one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. To see Yoda back the way he should be, after what happened in the prequels, especially what happened in the prequels, because I think a lot of you may know, I hated what they did with Yoda in the prequels. Like, I can't stand it. But what they did with Yoda, being Yoda is my favorite character in the whole of Star Wars, to have him sort of be like, red texts. Was it red text books? Are they? Are they not? Whatever it was.
Right.
It's just having that playful, funny, witty but wise character, giving Luke another lesson. Reminding you about Empire Strikes Back.
Right, I agree. Well, the sad part about it is, to his credit, Rian Johnson has little nods and little things to the original series that I thought he did nice. Like when Luke walks into the Millennium Falcon, he goes into the cockpit and turns it on. And then he's sitting there, and R2 comes up, and he plays the old message of the "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Those little nods were done really, really well. And it that's what I'm talking about. He had me at times and then totally lost me in other areas, because I think he understood to a point, because he had those little nods in there. And then he just felt like, no, I have to be different. I don't know. Yeah. But because I agree, the part with Yoda is fantastic. I agree.
So Rey storms off. She ends up going.
She's mad.
She's back on the Falcon, and actually she uses, which is the first time that we see this on the Millennium Falcon, she uses an escape pod. And she uses the escape pod to land on Snoke's ship. And she sort of surrenders herself to Kylo. And we see her interact with Snoke. So Snoke takes her lightsaber. You see Snoke is powerful. You see Snoke as this new Palpatine figure. There is some form of power behind it. He knows the Force. And he gives Kylo the order to kill her. When in fact, Kylo, quite unexpectedly, I didn't see this coming, Kylo switches Rey's lightsaber on, which was on the chair sort of rest of Snoke, turns it on, and cuts Snoke in half.
Yeah.
And I did not expect this. I did not expect this.
I didn't either. And again, it's one of those things, and maybe Chris is right. Maybe I overthink this. But for such a powerful Jedi or Sith, that whatever Snoke is, you can tell he's very powerful. He senses all these things. He does. He talks about it. He can't sense that Kylo's using the Force to turn the lightsaber. He misses that. I don't. It's the little things that to me contradict other parts that say, how can he be so powerful and yet be so stupid? And it wasn't even arrogance. It was like, you're contradicting what you're telling me about this character. He's supposed to be all powerful. He stops Rey. He can see things. He can sense this. He can sense that from miles away, but he can't sense a lightsaber turning towards him and being moved by Kylo Ren. He can't sense Kylo using the Force. It's just the weirdest thing to me, and such a waste of a character. I mean, he's gone.
I think, personally, after watching this, was he a wasted character? Possibly. But I think this was going to be the character that was the catalyst of Kylo completing his full dark side.
Yes, it is.
Become the character of the First Order, the leader, Darth Vader of the First Order.
Again, I agree with you. I understand where they were going with it. I just didn't like the execution.
Right.
I agree. That's exactly why they did what they did. It was to be the catalyst that he was going to now be the supreme leader. I understood that. I just didn't like how they executed it.
Okay. We now get into quite possibly a very, very cool lightsaber battle between the guards of Snoke and Kylo and Rey teaming up. I think it was really cool.
Very good action scene.
I would put it up there, top 5 easy favorites.
Yes, it's very good. It's done well.
Very, and the actors who perform at the stunt doubles, like, kudos to you, because it was really sort of in camera, really focused. Like, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was done well.
And then on the contrast, you got Finn and Rose who escape custody, and they start fighting Captain Phasma. And if you think Snoke was a wasted character, Captain Phasma, yes, she's in this movie after being put into the
5 minutes
trash compactor in the previous film. She was in this film, and Finn and Captain Phasma had a little fight. And I'm sorry, like, Captain Phasma should have been the General Hux of this film. Like, as in, she should have been fully involved in all 3 films, because she's such a cool character. Like,
could have been a cool character.
You look at her, you could go so many ways with this character. She could end up being a bounty hunter by the end of leaving the First Order. You could have her leading her own sort of separate First Order troops, like in the Bad Batch. Like,
yep, Chris, 100%. That's what I thought. I thought Boba Fett.
Yeah,
but actually, she really was kind of wasted, like Boba Fett was.
Yeah.
To be honest, she was.
Totally.
You know, we got Boba Fett very little in Empire and very little in Jedi, and basically the same thing with Captain Phasma. A very cool character with a lot of potential that was used very little in both films. Although she was used pretty good in Force Awakens, she was barely in The Last Jedi at all.
I really enjoyed BB-8 getting on the decapitated walker shooting people. That was pretty cool. I really enjoyed BB-8 doing its thing. To be fair, I think BB-8 is a very popular and cool character. Does have a purpose, and especially in the first film. But I enjoy seeing BB-8 on screen. Too bad we don't see a lot of BB-8, but you can't have it really always. Now, so they kind of sort of back on the Resistance ship, we come across a planet which used to be an old rebellion base, which is on the planet of Crate.
Salt planet.
It's a salt planet. Crate. It was a salt planet where the surface is red, but there's salt all over the floor.
Right. Now let me just preface this: the main ship of the Alliance, all the other ships are now they've ran out of fuel, and when you run out of fuel, you also lose your defenses. All those ships are being taken out. So what they decide to do is they say, look, let's use the fuel to fuel up all the escape pods. We can do a cloaking device on the escape pods and get everybody away to Crate, because there is a former rebel base down there, and that was their plan. And I just want to preface that, because actually another really cool part is, as they're trying to get away, the First Order, I want to call them the Empire every time, but the First Order sees and finds out that they've cloaked and they're trying to get away, and now they start blowing the escape pods out of the sky or out of space, because they're on to their plan. Well, one person, and we didn't even get into her character, but what's her name from Jurassic Park? I can't think of her name. Decides to stay behind, and I actually like what she did with can I say it, Dan, or you want to explain what she did?
Yeah, so she turns
the main ship around.
The main Resistance ship around.
To face the Superstar Destroyer. Or Snoke's ship.
Yep. And then jumps into hyperspace, splitting the ship in half, essentially.
Yeah. Because what everybody has to remember is about hyperspace. Light speed, you go all the way back to the first film. When Luke says to Han, what are you doing? Just press the button. And Han's like, you got to have the coordinates correct, or you could go right through a black hole. You could go through this, that. You could go through you have to have the coordinates correct, or else you could hit something as you go through light speed. Well, she didn't care. She just went right through Snoke's ship, and I thought that was kind of cool. I'll give him that. I like that part, and it saves him.
I love the visual effects of it, when it all all the sound effects just stopped. It was just silence. I think that was a really cool, really cool effect, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
So everyone escapes, and we managed to fight. So Rey escapes from the ship as well. We'll talk about her a little bit later. Finn and Rose end up Poe and the recovered Leia, and they travel all the way to Crate while the First Order are on their way with Kylo at the helm as Supreme Leader. So they end up in this base, and it's a really old tacky base on Crate. There's a big open field where the First Order are going to set up a load of AT-AT walkers, and they just go to blast the rest of the Resistance. They managed to get the shields down, but they needed to find a way to sort of somewhat stall them to get them through the caves and try and escape.
Well, they didn't think they had an escape at first, because what happened was, Dan's right, when the First Order came, they had, on this base, the one thing the base did have is this giant metal door that was like feet and feet thick. It was a great door. But the First Order, of course, they've always got these great, massive, destructive items. Well, they basically cracked the door in half and could get in.
It was a Death Star cannon or something.
Yeah, kind of, exactly. So the rebels now were stuck. They didn't have anywhere to go. They didn't think. They was like, "There's no way out. We're stuck." And that's when they needed something to delay the First Order, and they got it.
You'll like this one. Spending time at the base may explain why so many character personalities were so salty. That's for you, Walt.
That was a good one.
Don't laugh. So to get rid of this gun that could blast through the doors, the Resistance find these old decrepit speeders. Like, these are rust bucket. This is the worst of the worst speeders. And they are just essentially trying to sort of find a way to take out this gun. So you got Finn and Rose, and then some of the other pilots.
And Poe, and they're all there.
Is Poe in one of them?
He is. He was one of them. He's in one of them. Yeah.
And they, jumping up and down, trying to sort of stable this craft, trying to maneuver their way around the AT-AT walkers, trying to sort of get a way around them. And I feel this was the perfect opportunity for Finn's noble sacrifice. When Finn was going head-on collision with the gun, they should have pulled the trigger and be like, that's it. Finn's done his noble sacrifice, his heroic sacrifice, and left it there. Because I think that would have been a great send-off to him. Yet we got stupid Rose, who comes in. We wanted him to die, have that noble death. But he comes in, she was just like, oh, the crazy things I do for love. And I'm just like, you haven't had any sort of love interest in Finn this whole movie. Like, it was more awkward than Anakin and Padme, and I don't know how you can get more awkward than that. I
agree.
Finn should have died. I'm sorry, but he should have taken the sacrifice.
Yeah, basically they fail. I mean, nobody destroys that big thing. It cracks open the door, and they're vulnerable. They're done.
Yep. I just don't feel like they were able to build a strong relationship between Rey, Finn, and Poe like they did with Han, Luke, and Leia. Well, yeah, because they couldn't.
Well, they couldn't because one thing that Luke, Leia, and Han had that Rey, Finn, and Poe didn't is screen time together. Very little screen time with all three of them together.
Yep. So the Resistance find these sort of silverback wolves things, and they sort of see them sort of like, where did all the wolves go? And they've managed to find one, and they followed it out of the cave, and they thought this was the best way to escape from the Resistance. Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, well, no, I just, before they even got to that point, they needed a diversion. I don't know if you're going to get to that part. Yeah. So that happens first, because the diversion happens first, because then while the diversion is happening, that's when they learn, we need to find a way out. And they're like, wait a minute, where did the creatures go? They
needed a diversion, and we see a hooded figure, as we always know, this character to have a hooded figure, dropping Han's beads to Leia, which is a symbol that obviously that connected Han, who died in the previous film, and Leia. And this character walks out into the middle of the salt planet, pulls down his hood, and we find out it's Luke, but it's not Luke as we saw earlier in the film. He looks a lot younger. His hair is shorter.
But there's a lot to that. See, I don't want to skim over that, because to me, it's one of the worst parts of the movie. Because when you're there and you hear the music start and you see the hooded figure come in, you know who it is right away. You know who it is. And then he sits there and he has a conversation with his sister, which is great because they should. And then he hands her the beads or whatever, the dice. And he kisses her goodbye, and he walks out, and he looks at C-3PO, and he gives him a wink, and then they start playing the music, and he's walking right out into the middle of the First Order by himself, and all the other ones are looking at him like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
And he walks right out there, and it can't be overstated, the importance of where they're going with this. And I'll tell you how I'm sitting in the theater. As he walks out there by himself and they're playing the music, I got a tear coming down my eye. And I'm like, he's going to save them all by himself. And I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe they're going to do this. And that's what I thought was going to be the best part of the movie. It turns out to be, well, we'll get into it. But when he's standing there and Kylo says, I want every gun we have to fire on that.
Yeah.
And he says, do it. And they do. And then because see, I hadn't, for those that don't know, I hadn't realized just yet what was really happening. And when he stands up after the guns and he goes, I'm thinking, oh my God, what a super, he is the best Jedi ever. I'm thinking, well, we'll get into it, but this is where the worst part comes up for me.
So Kylo goes down from his ship, who's watching from a high above, gets down on the floor, on the salt, standing pretty much, about maybe 20 feet away from Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is it. This is the final showdown. They both get their lightsabers out. Kylo being so aggressive. I love the fact that you see his foot sort of twinge and shaking sort of in the salt. And
it's the giveaway that when I first saw it, I missed.
Right, which I
missed. I
missed it the first time, but then
I missed it, but it's the giveaway.
So Kylo is running towards Luke, and you see the footprints in the salt with all the red footprints, and Luke is like freaking Neo from the Matrix. He's like diving and dodging and like with his lightsaber.
And he never strikes back.
Doesn't even go anywhere near the lightsaber. So something's a little strange because Luke would have defended. He did against Vader. He did against all this kind of stuff. And it's strange because you notice, and especially if you've seen it a lot of times, that Luke's footprints never change. You don't see the red footprints on the ground.
That's what I missed. That's what I'm saying. That's the part for me that I didn't catch it. I should have, but I didn't.
Yeah. And then Luke does hit his sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi Darth Vader moment where Kylo strikes Luke down, but doesn't work. And he's poking him, and actually that Luke created this planet is not actually Luke. This is being force projected. He's doing his FaceTime from the island on the field, and Kylo is super duper angry, and because he's been sort of fooled. I do want to
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say during this scene, we get Rey in the Falcon with Porgs and Chewie, and I love the scene where Kylo goes, I want that piece of junk blown up out of the sky. Like he goes full on like rage. Right. It's brilliant because obviously that's the last remembrance of his father. That the ship. Really, really cool. And Rey manages to save, move in the rocks, and save the last remaining resistant fighters.
Yes.
Escape. Right, you go.
Well, I want to go back to the fight with Kylo because what makes what I thought was going to be the best part of the movie makes the worst part is exactly that. It's like, it's not even really him. He's not even there. I'm like, what? What do you mean he's not there? It like they used him as a decoy. I don't know. I would rather it had really been him and done his saving it that way. Instead, he wasn't even there. And then they go back to the island, and Luke had used all he had. And he looks out into the sunset and he sees the two suns again, and he dies.
Yeah.
And the one thing he did do right is at least he did disappear away. But I was really upset because I'm thinking to myself, Luke Skywalker died alone. He died alone. Are you kidding me? How do you do that? Even Yoda didn't die alone. Luke was with him. Even Ben didn't die alone. Luke was at least there. Luke died alone. I mean, really? I don't know. I just it was a cool. I understood his concept, but again, execution for me just was so lacking. And I just think they did him dirty. I do. I think they did him dirty.
I don't know. I'm not. I think I'm with you with this scene, this whole sort of sequence. I like but dislike it with how Luke went out.
Oh my
God. I was just like, wait, Luke just disappeared. Wait, does that mean he's dead? Oh, wait, really? That's how he did it? Even though I liked how he did it.
Exactly. And why does... And I never understand. Everybody always says to me, I've had so many friends say, oh, man, I would like to have seen him sacrifice himself. I thought that would have been so much better. I'm like, why? Why does everybody have to die? Can't people ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after? For crying out loud. These are the movies. We're supposed to go to the movies to get away from that crap. We want the good guys to win.
I'll just say, folks, this is by far my favorite review because I've never seen Walt crack as much as this.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm with Super Fluffy Yeti. Why do we have to die? Why does they kill off all the main characters from the original trilogy? All three of them.
You know what it's like, right? So if you watch those specific scenes and you eat like a Sour Patch Kid and then you've got that sour taste in your mouth afterwards, that's kind of what it feels like. Like something's just not normal.
I don't know. Anyway. If he had really been on Crate and really fought, and even if he had died that way, like an injury or something like that, I would have been a little bit better with it. I can't get over the fact that they let Luke Skywalker die alone. I don't know.
Rey escapes with Poe and Finn and Rose and everybody else. So on the Falcon, feeling depleted, and that's the end of the movie. Well, actually, no, it's not the end of the movie because we end up back on that stupid planet of Canto Bight. And we see a little boy do a little force grab of a broom with a rebellion ring. And I'm just like, and looks up at the night sky, and I'm just like, geez, is this kid Ryan Johnson or what? This kid is the personification of Ryan Johnson. It's just like, and the broom symbolizes Star Wars, and he's just sweeping the floor with it. Like that is Ryan Johnson. Like it just is. It is, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta let's move into our sort of summary. While we do our summary, this is where you in the chat, this is your time. Okay?
Yes.
Now, here on Disney Movie Review, we do a letter grade from an A+ all the way down to an F. Both Walt and I both have given A+ and Fs in the past. And what we would like you to do is give your view, your opinion, your grade, and tell us why. And this time, more than any other time that we've ever done a review, please tell us why, because it's probably going to be the most controversial opinion that you're probably going to have, because probably someone else in the chat isn't going to agree with you, which is okay, because that's, Walt and I normally are always on the same page. I think we're going to have very different reviews. So please give us your letter grade. Please tell us why. And while you're doing that, we're going to listen to Walt give his sort of summary, his grade, his favorite character and scene, and then we'll get to me. All right. I'm so looking forward to this.
Well,
All right, dude. Fire away.
I potential for this movie was there. I don't like. I didn't like the screenplay. I didn't like the theming of the movie. I didn't like what they did with Luke Skywalker. I didn't like a lot of the aspects of the movie. I think a lot of it was hypocrisy in its strongest form in a lot of ways. I just was really down on this film altogether. I did not enjoy it wholeheartedly. It had little snippets here and there of things. They had characters that were underutilized. They had new characters that had no reason to be in it, just other than to create new characters. They had parts of the movies that were fillers for a good portion, the whole Canto Bight area. This film was not a good film to me, but it's Star Wars, so it was going to be successful. You knew that. To me, I got to give it a D-. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm not a fan of this
film.
film.
Expect that.
I will not watch this film again. It's wholeheartedly my least favorite Star Wars film of any of them. Just because you're being different doesn't make it better, in my opinion. Different isn't always better. Some things, fine wine is great because it lasts. And I don't know. For me, it's a D-. I'm sorry. I almost gave it an F. But I won't give it an F because it does have some parts that I like. Like you said, the part with the lightsaber battle with Kylo and her, and a couple of the little snippets to the old movies and seeing Yoda. Favorite character, again, for this film, it's probably Poe. I hate to say it. I love Luke Skywalker, but I don't like what they did with him in this film. I can't. So that's my review. I'm sorry. I hate to say it.
Wow. Did not expect that. I really, really did not expect that. Let's just quickly go through the chat, guys. So, Chris, I'd love to hear your review. Super Fluffy Yeti, Melissa, Cynthia.
Yeah, let us know, everybody. Why?
Yeah, so Cynthia gives it a B, and she says because it hit a lot of feels for me, but not an A because I wanted Baby Yoda. Even though Baby Yoda obviously wasn't around that time, but you still got Yoda. B, seriously, because I wanted the new Jedi to be more bad. Interesting. Really interesting. And then we're going to have, putting aside the continuity of the story through the movies, it is a very good movie. Great set cinematography, some cool character moments in action, and great music. But fantastic. I would love to know your grade. Is it an A+ for you? Is it an F?
Give us a grade. What would your grade be?
That's a really fantastic point. Okay. Here's
Sean
my
gave it.
Sean Christensen gives it a B-. Nice. So a very divisive film. I'm going to start off with the things that I really liked. I thought the acting far and away is better than anything in the prequels. I really enjoyed everyone's performances. Adam Driver, I think, did an excellent job. I think, for me, Mark Hamill did a brilliant job. Despite his character, he had a fantastic performance. And there was a really, really great acting across the board. I thought the music, the cinematography, anything technical was brilliant. I think it was, that showstopper, that movie magic that we expect to see in a Star Wars film. The music was great. And I really enjoyed a lot of the scenes. I really enjoyed, again, like you said, the battle between Rey and Kylo versus the guards. I actually really enjoyed most of the Crate scene, the third act. I enjoyed quite a lot of the things with Leia and Poe and the arguments between them. But there's a lot of things I didn't like. I hated the Canto Bight stuff. I think it was completely irrelevant. I'm still on the fence with the Luke stuff. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I kind of can get through it. But I enjoy this film much more than I do Attack of the Clones. I think Attack of the Clones is by far the worst Star Wars film, in my opinion. I would put this above Solo. I'll put this above Phantom Menace. And people are not going to like this. I prefer this over Rogue One. I thought Rogue One is very underwhelming. And I actually really enjoyed this movie more than Rogue One. But that's probably an argument for another day. I'm going to give this film a B.
Wow, look at you.
Looking at everything, I could happily sit and watch this film. I really enjoy playing. If anybody has played Star Wars Battlefront on the Xbox or PlayStation, playing Crate is a really cool map. Like, it's really, really cool, and I love how it's so similar to what you see in the film. And I just really, I like the film. I don't love it. I think it's far better than the prequels, except Revenge of the Sith. I think Revenge of the Sith is much better than this film. But I'd put this over Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Solo any day, personally. So it's a very sort of mixed opinion here. Let me just quickly go through the chat before I tell you my favorite character, favorite scene. The Last Jedi gets an F. There's been books for an expanded universe that has better stories. Even the Star Wars Christmas special was better than this.
Chris.
Really? Really?
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, fair play. I enjoyed the jokes they plugged. That's what makes the Star Wars fun for me. It is a C. I can't put the continuity of the story from the previous movies. Rian Johnson should stick to Pixar films. Did he do Pixar films?
I don't know. Did he?
No, I don't know. I can't remember. It is a C. I can't put. Yeah, so you've already put that one. So my favorite character in this film is Kylo. I really enjoyed his sort of character development in this, going from somewhat conflicted to full-on villain. And my favorite scene has to be Luke and Yoda. I just loved it. Brought me back sorts of memories watching Empire as a kid. I just really love that scene. I really, really do. Wow. And that's it.
That one took a while. Sorry.
Oh no, dude, it was a pleasure doing this film. But guys, we're not done yet.
Nope, not yet.
Before we pull the next film, we need to explain that this is most likely going to be our time slot for next week. It's either going to be, we haven't fully 100% decided, it's either going to be Thursday or Wednesday, but it will be at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. I know it's sort of trying to figure out the best time. We know that our close friends Jeff and Angela, This Our Dream, are live right now. We're dreaming with our pals. Show them some love. They are absolutely wonderful. I really miss them, and they do some great content over there. And Walt is a partner channel with them. And, we're all very, very close. But show them some support. Tell them I say hi, but don't say it yet because we need to pick our next movie now. But just keep an eye out. Keep a look at the thumbnail. Next week's show will be on Walt's channel, which he hasn't had for quite a while because we did Harry Potter before. And
right.
So, are we ready?
I'm ready. Here we go.
We need a drum roll in the chat. What are you hoping for?
You know what, Daniel? I would like to have like a Disney original movie, like a live action film. We haven't had one of them in a while.
All right.
Or like an old one from the 60s and 70s.
Let's see what I can do. Right, here we go. Oh, I got one there or two there. I think I've got one there. All right, here we go. And the next movie is... We might need Steve on this one because it's got his buddy Dwayne Johnson in it.
Oh, really?
We are watching 2021 film. I'm sorry, it's not, but 1960. 2021's The Jungle Cruise.
Okay. Yeah, we got to get Steve on for that one.
And now this is fitting because today it was announced that another Magic Kingdom attraction was announced for a film next year in May, being the Haunted Mansion, which we will definitely have to watch at some point. But we are watching the Jungle, not the Jungle, but the Jungle Cruise, for next week. I'm very excited about that because I actually haven't seen it yet. So,
no? Oh, I've seen it a couple times.
So we're looking forward to that. The Jungle Cruise is going to be our next film. Should we try and get Steve on it? I don't know.
We can try. I know it might be hard for him because I know he sometimes doesn't get home at 5, but we'll see. So again, guys, Wednesday or Thursday of next week, look for the thumbnail on my channel. I'll be sure to promote it all week. Dan and I will hash it out. It just whatever. Both days are good for me. Whatever day is good for Dan. We'll try to keep it consistent on one day. We'll either pick it Wednesday or Thursday, so you guys can get used to this. I know we had a lighter crowd tonight, but that's because you guys aren't used to us being on during the week. But this is how it's going to be moving forward. Sundays are going to be a thing of the past. We're going to do it during the week. It can be more consistent on the week, so we don't miss 2 or 3 Sundays in a row. I think doing it during the week is going to be a lot more consistent and more fun.
Absolutely. Before we start heading out, before we do a bit of housekeeping, I really do want to say thank you to Candyman for the super chat earlier on the stream. That's very kind. Thank you so much. And we've got a lot of things planned. We've got a lot of things planned ahead. A couple of weeks ago, I did my first ever Disney Fights show. And I will be trying to do those at least once a month or twice a month. Because they do take a lot of preparation, getting guests and doing that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out for that. That will be 7 p.m. Eastern. That is my new show that replaced Disney Fiasco. It's a fun show. Walt was a contestant on the show. We are always open to new contestants. So if you would like to come on the show and argue the silliest things and the funniest Disney things, please let us know. It's really, really fun time. Let's just do a little bit of mousekeeping. See what I did there before we head out. Partner channels: the Viapree Project, Mickey's Magic, RobFuz, the self-proclaimed king of retro himself, and he's got some really fun things coming up. That's big on his channel, and other things that he's doing. So please go check out Rob, and then the incredible Walt Melissa from Mouse Talk. I couldn't have seen this channel grow as it is, especially with me being so unreliable lately, without my family, Walt and Melissa. They are just so wonderful and very, very just so supportive of not just me, but this whole amazing community. So and we've known each other a long time, and we absolutely love doing these.
We do.
Also a big thank you to Dean over at the Live Place. Guys, check out Dean. He is just such a wonderful guy and puts his heart and soul into creating a place where you can find anything that you want, any live stream, any video, anything you want on theliveplace.com. So please go check him out. In regards to what's coming up this week, this weekend, live streams and Disanity next week, you got stuff planned?
We do. Saturday, we are going to be doing a Hollywood Studios challenge. Not going to tell you what it is. You have to tune in Saturday. I have an idea for a challenge. It's going to be pretty hard to do, but we're going to try.
It's how many times you ride Tower of Terror, isn't it?
No. Not that one. But it is. It's going to be fun. First thing, bright and early Saturday morning, 8 a.m. And then Sunday night, actually, since it's now kind of open and we don't have anything going on, Sunday night we are closing down Magic Kingdom. So we're going to be doing a night stream into the evening, and it's going to be a blast. So I hope you guys can join us for that. We'll do fireworks late night at Magic Kingdom. Park closes at 11, and Melissa doesn't know it yet, but we're staying till 11. So join us for a really late. Yeah, it'll be kind of late for you, but you might be getting up.
If I get up early enough, I can say hi after a good night's sleep.
That'd be great. Oh my god, that would be so funny. That would be great if you got up.
I'll be like, good morning.
Yeah, well, that would be so funny. That would be so funny. But that's what's happening this weekend. Disanity, of course, next Tuesday. Other than that, that's it right now. I think. Yeah, we just went over 12,000 subs, so it's been great.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You guys, you absolutely deserve it. The hard work you and Melissa put into the channel is unbelievable. And I know everybody here is subscribed to you, but that you are just a shining example of how amazing this community is. So
thanks, pal.
We love it, and we love doing these reviews. And we will see you next week on Walt's channel for the Jungle Cruise review. If Jeff and Angela are still alive, head over there, tell them Disney Dan and Walt sent you. Please do.
I hope they're still alive.
and actually tell him. Actually, I want a super message. I want you to say Dan was right about the sushi. Okay, so if you put, actually, I'll put it in the chat. Disney Dan was right
about sushi.
About sushi. I want you to send that to Jeff in his chat and see if he responds on stream. And you might not know what that means, but he definitely will. Is he still alive?
Yeah, they're still alive.
He is still alive. All right. thank you so much. We will see you next week on Mott's channel for the Jungle Cruise movie review. Thanks so much, guys. And we'll see you all real soon for the good of all Kree.
The good of all Kree.
And may the Force be with you.
Yes.
Bye.
And also with you. Bye!